A remembrance of the 20th anniversary of the September 11, 2001 attack was held recently at the Island Memorial Chapel. Welcome remarks were given by Colonel Thomas Pugsley, USACA Commander. Guest speakers included Acting Police Chief Charles Goodson and Kwaj Fire Chief Michael P. Kane. Music included the National Anthem of the Marshall Islands, the American National Anthem, and Amazing Grace, performed by the Kwaj High School Band.
There are dates for each generation that really mark a fundamental shift in the way we perceive the world. Those are days that we will never forget. The bombing of Pearl Harbor, assassination of President Kennedy, the moon landing, explosion of the Challenger, and 20 years ago today, a terrorist attack of unprecedented scale on U.S. soil. Most of us in the audience today can close our eyes and picture that day with perfect clarity, where we were, who we were with, and what we were doing, as well as the fear, pain, and anger that followed. The events of that day and the days that followed forever altered not only our perception of the world we were in, but our place and our path within it. Today we are here to remember, to honor, and to pay tribute to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice.
The sacrifice has been great on a lot of families in America, and I know one thing is for sure, since that date, we all come together in time of crisis. We don't bicker about what we think we should be in a party. We don't bicker about anything else. We don't worry about the color of our skin. We come together and we're Americans, and that's what I love about this country, and this is why we will always remember and protect this country. Thank you.
We're all familiar with the stories of that horrible day in our history. The lives of 344 New York firefighters lost, including the entire senior leadership and the longtime chaplain, Father Michael Judge. The 71 law enforcement personnel whose lives were lost at the World Trade Center and in Pennsylvania. The 55 military personnel killed at the Pentagon. Of course, 2,977 persons going about their daily lives perished in the attacks, along with 6,000 others that were injured.
What do you do when you have too much stuff in your BQ or house? That's where the Swap and Shop comes in. Islanders were given the opportunity to sell their items live in person, bartering with one another to get the best deals possible. The Swap and Shop is biannual and is only $5 per table. It is open to all. If you maybe went too crazy with your online shopping wish list, give those items a second chance during the next Swap and Shop. The Island Memorial Chapel welcomed members of their congregations during the Welcome Back picnic and bike blessing. Members of the Protestant, Catholic, and Latter-day Saint congregations gathered for fellowship, food, and fixing of bicycles.
Today is our annual Welcome Back picnic and bike blessings. And this year we are incorporating our Discovery Day into it as well. And so it's a way for our congregation to come together and just enjoy one another over food and fellowship. We also have the bike blessings going on behind us. So that is a way of just helping out the community with fixing bikes, minor repairs. We do it twice a year, and we just kind of incorporated it all together. air up tires, they check brakes, if you have a new seat that needs to be replaced, something that's minor that can be fixed pretty quickly. They'll lube up the chain, they'll check the tires.
Usually it's the typical tire inflation chain adjustment, and lubrication. It's typically a real simple fix for a lot of these.
Give me some of that lubricant spray, please.
Yep.
The event is held biannually in order to give Islanders the opportunity to sign up for various roles in the different churches.
The Protestant services are at 8:15 and 11 o'clock, and both of them have ushers that are needed. The 8:15 has readers that are needed. The 11 o'clock has music, it has sound, it has media. We have youth fellowship that's offered on Mondays, twice a month, and that's for all of the high school. We are trying to incorporate our middle school, which would be 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So we're looking for a teacher for that.
As for the Catholic Church,
So we have sacristans that kind of set up the church before services. We have greeters that kind of welcome people as they come in. At the Catholic Church, we have a few other things like lectors that do the readings, Eucharistic ministers that would hand out communion and that kind of stuff. And then we also have our choir, so music ministry for both the Catholic and the Protestant services. Volunteering at the church is a great opportunity. God gives us all these gifts, and it's a great way for us to share those gifts with our fellow community members.
if you would like more information on participating in Island Memorial Chapel positions, contact the chapel office at 53505.
AFN recently sat down with Colonel Thomas Pugsley, USACA commander, to get to know him better and find out more about his plans for the island and its residents. The following are excerpts from that interview. So tell us a little bit about your goals. Like what goals do you have coming up for the next couple of years? What kind of things are on the top of your list? I know in the town halls you've kind of mentioned them, but I think the listening audience would love to hear like what your what your checklist is about, what your goals are for the time that you're here.
I think like probably every commander before me who's come here with probably a long list of things that they wanted to do differently, especially after they get an opportunity to kind of assess the island and see what's needed. I'm no different, right? I had, for the 2 years I've been researching this place and reading everything that's come out of it, and I had a long list of things that I thought should be addressed. I didn't want to jump right on those because I really hadn't got on the ground and didn't do a really good assessment. But after 3 months in command now, I think I have a pretty good, at least a solid understanding of where I think there's some improvements, where improvements can be made. And so as like I've said during the town halls, most of all my stuff is really nested in kind of my overall priorities, right, which is people first, mission, and then I'm big on inclusion, and we'll talk a little bit about that probably today, but inclusion is important, which means you got to bring everyone together to help make decisions, otherwise you're not really meeting the intent of the community. Yeah. And then I got a couple of things that are mostly military focused, and then last, positive change, right? So if I can leave with making some improvements, I know I'm not going to get after all of them, right? We'll talk, I have a list of some things that are probably going to get after what you're asking, but I don't think we'll get them all done, right? Okay. But if we can make some positive motion, I think we're going to be better off. But one of my first things, and the biggest thing I noticed getting here was I'm really focused on MWR reform, right? And mostly it gets after the inclusion piece, right? And one of the first things I noticed after getting on the island is I thought that a key component of the overall community was being neglected. And I'm not saying blatantly neglected. I think they weren't getting equal consideration when it came to how we expended resources for MWR or how we set events and activities up, right? And the community I'm talking about is mostly the community in the BQs, which is the reason I started the BQ Town Hall. I wanted to give them a voice and an opportunity outside of the overall community town hall that they can let them focus on specific issues, right?
Right.
And so MWR reform, right? Inclusion. And so you heard this mentioned in the last town halls. The garrison shouldn't be the one making decisions on where we spend our money, right? The community should have a say and to help justify or prioritize where our investments need to go, right? And so why is my team a very small subset of the overall community making decisions that impact the entire organization? Now, in some cases, that's prudent, right? Infrastructure investments, those type of things, that's what we're here for. But when it comes to MWR, we should let the community, kind of have a say in what we're doing, which is why I'm instituting a community-wide survey to allow the community an opportunity to voice their their opinion on where they think money should go, help prioritize our efforts, and we're going to use that to kind of set conditions for next year's investment plan.
Going to the movies. And I know you're doing a movie, like a movie night with Dad, right? Is that?
Yeah, the dad's movie nights, yeah.
Right.
And so I love taking my kids to the movie. I love movies, right? And so all I asked for was like, hey, we have these movies, and I probably took my kids to probably 6 or 7 movies in a row, and about 5 of those, we were the only ones there. And I was like, what a great opportunity, and I think it's being missed. So I was like, you know what, I want to sling some popcorn for people to try to drop. I'm going to go there, I'll make popcorn.
Well, that's a big draw. So you have a popcorn machine there, right?
Yeah, we do. And so it turns out I was going to bring mine. Turns out they have one, so they just provide it anyways.
Nice.
But yeah, so the first one we did, which was last month, we had 20. It wasn't that many. It was competing with soccer, right?
Right.
But we had 23 people there, and that's the most people they've had in probably years.
Wow, yeah, I saw a picture in the hourglass
right?
of all the people that showed up. It looked like it was a good time.
And it was great, and I think it's going to get better. We have the next one coming up on the 9th of October. We're going to be slinging popcorn again. It should be a good time. One of the big things that I hear a lot about, and I see this firsthand, and everyone would agree to it, is we really lack any good venues here in Kwaj, right? And so what's that reciprocal place? On Roy, you have the Outrigger. I mean, why can't I have a mirror image of that somewhere here?
Boy, I sure wish they could, because Outrigger is my favorite. I love that place.
And so we're really, I got the team really looking hard at it. And we got 3 potentials, right? First and foremost, we have the Ocean View Club, right? And that place is a blank slate. I mean, talk about if there's a term that I could describe the Ocean View, it's blah, right? It has so much potential, but no, it's not going anywhere, right?
Right.
And so
it's limited. There's not a lot to do if you don't want to just drink.
But there's nothing. Yeah, exactly. And so so one of the things I'm asking.
The horseshoe pit was nice, though.
Oh yeah, CB's knocked that out. That was one of the first things I wanted done, because I'm looking for more things for people to do to enjoy a beverage without just sitting at the bar and drinking.
Right.
So that's why Sergeant Major's been pushing to get the pool table put in there. We have one.
Oh, pool table.
We're just looking for felt, right? And so we're putting a pool table in there. The dartboards are there, obviously. Horseshoes now. We're trying to have more food options there, so you can get pizza by the slice, bags of chips, just easy stuff.
Right.
In the larger long-term scale, we're looking at a minor renovation where basically rebranding, right? I want to kind of develop a. Have you been to Duke's Canoe Club in Honolulu?
Oh, no, I haven't.
So think island, kind of like tiki bar meets German beer garden.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of a thing we're looking for. So what we're going to do is we're going to open it up to the community for a design competition, and we're going to ask the community to put their ideas in for design, and we'll award a winner, and we'll have them help out on the redesign of that. But that's the easiest thing to do, is immediately have an impact is the Ocean View. And then long term, we're looking at doing some redesigns of the Portico or the golf club. Mm-hmm. Great venue place. It's pretty much condemned right now. But 2 stores, the back bar,
club, but
the outside part where the bar is, and there's 2 great opportunity for an outstanding outside venue, right? But it's going to take some renovation and some money to do. Same thing goes for the Yuck Club, right? Right now, it's basically the bones. That used to be a key central hub of this community.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that club when it was active. Yeah.
I mean, space for all the clubs to operate in, fine dining, a bar, all kinds of stuff to do.
They used to have a disco.
Oh, dance nights. But the point was it was a venue, right? Yeah. Here we lack venues. Like if I was going to tell you that I want to bring back bingo, right? Where would we do it?
Yeah.
Right? There's no real good answer, right? The only answer we have is Ocean View Club. Everything is the Ocean View Club. Right. And so we need more venues. So that's one of the big priorities on my list, is to find something, at least get it going through design or award a contract. It's not going to be done in the next couple of years, at least those last 2. But if we can get it going, I think it's going to get after a critical need of the community.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I love that idea. What else do you got?
The last big thing is kind of along the lines is better food offerings, right? And so one of the biggest things, there was times in the past where you had the Yuck, you could go somewhere else for a dinner.
Right.
Where the food court is now, there used to be, I can't remember what it was called, but there used to be another restaurant there that gave you better options.
Yeah, there used to be a snack bar over by Iman Beach. That
was the third. Yep, there used to be a hamburger shack out on Iman Beach, which I would love to get back out there, even if it's only open on the weekends, and you have a high schooler slinging, chips, hot dogs, popcorn, slushies, snow cones.
Yeah.
It gets out. It provides a little more opportunity for stuff, and so we're really pushing a food truck. I'm trying to get a food truck.
Oh.
Can you imagine a food truck that can do? Popcorn, hot dogs,
street tacos,
pretzels,
or something.
Street tacos.
Yeah.
Now you're tacos.
Yeah.
So why not
I'm a big taco
margaritas?
fan.
I mean, come on. I mean, so the point is you can drive that from venue to venue, right?
Yeah.
And it's it's something that can sling food at different places.
Yeah, it's something going on at Camp Hamilton. You can go there if you invite Iman. Yeah, that's.
So you think of all the events we have here, and what kind of a logistics issue it is to bring food out there and set up tables. But if you had a truck, pull it up, serve the meal, I think, and you can park it wherever you want. And so I think there's a great opportunity there. So we're trying really hard to get after that.
Great.
So, I mean, it's probably the thing that keeps me the most busy is dealing with COVID and its various areas. Right. First and foremost, I don't understand why people would want to leave here. But then
I
again,
don't
I've
either.
only been here 4 months.
Yeah, wait about 2 years, you know.
And so, I mean, having spent 18 months in COVID back in the States, it's the last place I want to go to.
Yeah, I just miss Chick-fil-A, really, is what's about for
You bring
me,
up a good point. Yeah.
know.
Food is slight divergence, but
Yes.
I had all the some of the elementary school kids into my office a few weeks back, and they pitched me ideas to improve the community. And I would say over half of the teams, there's probably 8 teams. I think 4 of them all had Chick-fil-A as bring Chick-fil-A
Well, I'm
to
glad I'm
Island.
not alone.
Yeah, one had McDonald's. There's a lot of splash pads in there and that kind of stuff.
yeah, sure.
A water park was a very common
Right.
thing.
Skate park or something,
But
yeah.
you bring up a point, right? We are isolated and remote out here, and we are missing stuff. But so back to COVID. So there, like I said, a few things to unpack there. First and foremost is the biggest thing I focus on is reduction of quarantine protocols, right? And so as you know, over the last year, Colonel Bartell and the team, worked well with the RMI to establish the current protocols, which allowed us to we brought back almost 1,100 people, I think, through the repatriation process. So almost 600 Marshallese. That's a lot of people, and we still are COVID-free, right? And so that's a significant win. There's only a couple countries in the world that are still COVID-free, and we're one of them. Now there's a steep price for that too, right? Repatriation in the quarantine process is not cheap. It takes a lot of time, and it's a huge ask to get through, right? And so I work daily with the RMI government trying to better align their quarantine protocols with what science is saying, right? So the protocols we initially established 18 months ago were based on very little understanding of COVID, how it's transmitted, how you can deal with it, protocols to mitigate risk and spreading. But really, so science has come exponentially improvements in this.
Yeah.
We've learned a ton, right? That's our big focus, is really kind of inform them with the hopes of reducing quarantine further. We can't afford to have COVID in the islands. I can't afford it. The RMI can't afford it.
Right.
But there's a better middle ground, right? And it's not 21 days of quarantine. I personally think it's around 13 to 14 days, right? Reduce some days in Hawaii and reduce some days here in Kwaj. And we can still nearly guarantee no COVID. But that's my long-term goal.
Right.
We're working towards it.
So there's really no guarantees right now about how it's going to go, but your goal is to try to get the quarantine reduced in the next few months.
Gonna try, right?
Okay.
It's gonna be hard pressed, but I'm gonna continue trying.
Well,
it's all about
good
communication.
to know that you're trying.
Oh yeah, I can't. Again, if I can get down to like that range, I think that's what we can probably the best we can expect until either COVID goes away, which I don't see indications that's going to happen anytime soon, or a new norm is established. But until then, that's been our primary focus.
I loved it when you were in the town hall and you said, "I only have one ask. I just have one ask." And that is, be nice to one another, participate, pitch in. If you see a piece of trash on the ground, pick it up. Be proud of the area that you're in. Be proud of this beautiful island that we're on. So I think that's a great message.
Yeah, this island is our backyard, right?
Yeah.
And if everyone treats it like their backyard, when you walk out there, it doesn't matter that it's not your trash, right? If I see a piece of trash in my yard, I'm picking it up, right?
Yeah.
So everyone should just treat the island like that. This is our backyard. I mean, it's really not much bigger, right? And so, but it kind of makes me mad, when you go out to these community areas and you find 100 bottle caps and cigarette butts over in an area that families use, right?
Yeah.
And that's just sloppy, right?
Yeah.
And so, be better people. Be better people.
Yeah.
And so. And I've been fishing one time, and I did catch a marlin.
The first time you went fishing?
First time I went fishing, yeah. Mayor Harada Kabua was gracious enough to take me out fishing my first time after I met him. So we spent a day on the water. Wasn't the best day of fishing, but we did catch, we had 2 bigger marlin on earlier. We lost them, and then we did catch a marlin. Yeah. Unofficially, it was 880 pounds. Officially, it was 88 pounds. So
it was.
It was to me. It was it is the biggest fish I've ever caught. Right?
Right.
I grew up fishing trout and salmon, right? And so the biggest fish I caught until this was 55-pound king salmon, which is a huge salmon.
That's
right?
a big fish. Yeah.
But 88 pounds, and I'm laying on the deck, and it literally stretched out to full size of the width of the boat, and I was like, "That's a big fish."